Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayadure. I hope everyone's well and having a good weekend. It's Saturday at 8:38 p.m. And we're going to wait until people come in, and we're going to have a discussion about what is going on right now in Georgia and how you're witnessing right before your very eyes what I call a fake fight. That's what's going on. We're looking at what's called a fake fight between the Democrats and the Republicans, not to really address a real issue of what's going on in this country on the issue of electronic voting systems, and they're diverting the issue. One side talking about voter suppression, the Democrats and the other guys talking about voter IDs and mail-in ballots. They never want to talk about the real issue, and you're witnessing it right before your very eyes. And both, you have the Bidens on one side and the Democrats and the Trump and the Kemps and Georgia on the other side. It's a fake fight, and it's a great opportunity for everyone to really understand the fundamentals of what's going on in this country. So we're going to, as people are coming in, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Shiva Ayadure. I typically start by playing our, the core thing that brings us together, which is the Vashiva Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health. And this movement is dedicated to everyone here taking a systems approach to go beyond left and right. And I always like to play our video, and we'll start right after we come back. So let me start our video up as people are coming in, and I'll be chatting away online if people come. By the way, everyone can go to vashiva.com, vashiva.com/join. And when you go to vashiva.com/join, you will see that this is a home of the Vashiva Truth, Freedom, and Health movement. And we are creating a platform, and everyone can support it. It's our own hardware, technology, community, educational platform. When you contribute, you can also become a warrior. I want to give you guys books and knowledge to educate you. And you also get access to a fundamental approach to looking at the world from a systems approach. So we move beyond left and right. And those of you, if you don't want to give anything, that's fine. You can join as a member, but I don't feel right taking anything unless I can support your educational process. So let me just start this as
we have allowed our country to be taken over from within. And the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite working people. There's only one movement that can do that, and that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution, and that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training, because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, right? Talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up, working people, people who work united. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people. They have to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is a not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is a not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. the Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you, the Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow, some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. And that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done. And it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these 4 concepts I've built into a curriculum. People can go to vashiva.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people 2 years of MIT control systems. I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it. Anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. Now, the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on V as in Victor, A, Shiva, vashiva.com, so people can sign in. They can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there. But we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to VA Shiva, Victory America Shiva, vashiva.com.
All right, everyone, welcome. This is Dr. Shiva. We're going to have a really powerful discussion today, an educational discussion. A lot of my commitment here is to use opportunities that are occurring in the real world to actually educate you on this fake fight that keeps going on between the left and right. It actually rhymes. Fake fight between left and right, black and white. And we're witnessing that right now between what's going on with Biden and the Trump fellows, and the Republicans on this issue with, the issue of Jim Crow, quote unquote, Jim Crow segregation in Georgia that's being claimed by the Democrats. And it's a fake fight. Both the Republicans are wrong and the Democrats are wrong. And they're doing this fake fight because they don't want you to focus on the real issue of the electronic voting machines, which deny black, white, red, yellow, blue, brown, all Americans, one person, one vote. We're all subject to Jim Crow. And so what they do is they practice WWF wrestling. Trump is a master of that. Biden is a master of that. Bernie is a master of that. The Democrats are a master of that. And both Republicans and Democrats are. And it's time that all of you decide to raise your political consciousness to see this. And we have a huge, amazing opportunity right now. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is Jim Crow. Those of you who don't know, where did Jim Crow laws come from? And that related to the entire concept of one person, one vote. Then I'm going to give you a case study of my own election in Massachusetts, September 1, 2020, what took place there. And our 2 lawsuits that we have, the only 2 lawsuits on the issue of election integrity that have survived, all dismissals across the country. Every one of Trump's lawsuits all got thrown out because his people were doing a Kabuki theater on fake elections, fake election fraud. They didn't really want to fight the real issue. They made a lot of money. The RNC and the Trump campaign made, $300 million. They raked in a ton of money. And this is what they do on every issue. They talk about the bullshit issue. They never get to the issue, and they rile up one group. It's typically black versus white, Democrat versus Republican. And the purpose of our platform, as we just talked about, is to raise your political consciousness, raise your spiritual consciousness, your physical consciousness, raise you at such a level that you realize that it is up to you to understand the science of systems. And that is why every Monday evening, I dedicate my time to educating you on the science of systems. And we're having thousands of people rising up and taking that educational course. It's anyone who contributes gets access to, because I don't want to take your money for nothing. And we're creating our own platform. It's a 3-part platform. I'll talk more about it. Education, building community, and activation. You need all 3 for truth, freedom, and health. And if you don't want to do it, that's great. But if you are serious about not being watching WWE wrestling, which is what Trump and Biden will do, Trumpo versus Demento, that's all Trump is about. That's what Biden's about. Both of them horse trade against you. They both make money. They're running an election industry. It's not real. And you're going to see it right here. I'm going to walk you through this very carefully, and you're going to get the real heart of it. And this is very personal to me, and it should be personal to you, because right now, every American, whether you're black or white, red or brown, is all being screwed, and we're being divided. And this is an amazing issue for everyone to see that. And I hope all of you see this, because it's really, really important. And if you take a systems approach, you'll see it. Okay. So we have a very, very good discussion, and maybe I'll even, maybe we'll, if you put questions in here when I take the chat time, we'll take time to answer. Okay. So let's go to the PowerPoint. I've put together a PowerPoint, as I like to do, because there's a lot of educational points here that we want to go through. So let me bring this up. Okay. Let me make sure our people on Instagram, because they have a little bit of setup here that I point the camera here. Okay. So let's talk about this. All right. So let's first talk about, the title of this talk is "To Hell with Democrats and Republicans. Both support Jim Crow against you. Black, white, brown, yellow, red." And you're going to understand this. Both of them suck. Both Democrats and Republicans. The best word, the most provocative word, is they both suck. And if you're involved with Republicans and Democrats in 2021, you're playing like a childish game. You're not with the political consciousness of our times, which is, if we're truly going to unite working people in this country, we have to build a bottoms-up movement. And my intention is a very clear path, is after 50 years of trying to find how to bring all this together, the Vashiva platform is dedicated to educating 50,000 truth, freedom, and health warriors on the ground. And our platform, which is in our own data center, in our own infrastructure, not on Amazon's, is to build a movement bottoms up so people take action in their local community. So we're setting up actual activism programs that you can do locally. But you got to get educated first. Otherwise, you're going to say, oh, Bernie's a nice guy. The Kennedys are nice people. Trump's a nice guy. No, they're not nice people. They're all scumbags, and they want to take advantage of you. They just talk to rile you up. It's like you're watching WWF wrestling. Okay. So I say to hell with all of them, and I hope you reach the same conclusion. So first of all, what does Jim Crow mean? In 1828, there was a white minstrel performer who put on a black face, Thomas Dartmouth, T.D. Rice, and he did this, song and dance. And it was basically making fun of black people. Okay. It was it was pejorative, and that became used to talk about Jim Crow laws in the United States, right? Because they were, basically, frankly, very discriminatory, right? They're basically taking advantage of black people. So they were called Jim Crow laws. Now, for example, those laws were sort of the foundation of screwing over people of color. And they basically manifested themselves in another way, in the fact that, so if you had, one area where you had 2 million people, they got one legislator. And let's say this is an extreme, and another 10,000 people got one legislator. So it wasn't one person, one vote. So these people got, if they were hiring, let's say, a state legislator, these people, you can see their vote was much less than these people. Okay. So this became the whole concept of the fight for one person, one vote. And if you go back to the early 1700s, there was the issue where a black person was considered 3/5 of a vote. And then there was a Dred Scott case, and he was denied it by the Supreme Court. It was not until 1964 that Justice Earl Warren clarified the 14th Amendment, saying that you can't have these concepts or this way that you can slice up the legislator where, one group of people get one legislator to 2 million people, right? And another group gets one legislator to 10,000. So that's why we started creating this concept of one person, one vote. And that was clarified in a very important Supreme Court case called, which was referred to one person, one vote in 1964 by Earl Warren. So that is the heart of the issue. Do you have one person, one vote? One person, one vote. That's the real issue. And what I'm going to argue with you today is, with the advent, and you're talking to a technologist who loves technology, who's built the first email system, got a bunch of degrees at MIT, has built lots of technology. But what's ironic is that I'm here to tell you that technology is an anathema right now. It is a curse to us when it comes to this issue of voting, because the fundamental, the real crime scene is not voter suppression, which what the Democrats will talk about. And it's not mail-in ballots, which the Republicans talk about, and voter IDs. Those aren't the real issues. Yeah, they're peripheral issues, but the real crime scene is the fact today in 2021, starting in 2002, as I'm going to walk through with you, is we started creating these electronic voting machines, and it's not China. It is our American state election officials, black and white, Republican and Democrat, who are certifying electronic voting machines with the ability to have computer algorithms that can multiply your votes by a weight. Listen very carefully. Our weights are not stored as decimal numbers. As whole numbers. Bev Harris, Benny Smith showed this. Bev Harris was one of the first people to show this, that our votes are stored as decimals, as fractions on the computer. And on top of it, starting in 2002, your votes can be multiplied by a weight. So one person is not one vote. That is a central issue. But neither Republican nor Democrat will talk about this. They're screwing you over by talking about some other issue. And we're seeing this play out right now in Georgia. Biden's out there talking about Jim Crow, and Kemp and Trump are talking about, we gotta have voter IDs, and we gotta, stop this mail-in ballot nonsense. It's not the issue. Both Republicans and Democrats have profited from not having one person, one vote. All secretaries of state on both sides have been certifying voting machines that deny you one person, one vote. That's where you're going to learn. So we got to go beyond left or right. Both Republicans and Democrats know that in this country, we have selections, not elections. So it's very personal to me because, so we're going to walk through my journey with the election of 2020, where we have shown clearly that, the election was stolen, and we have 2 lawsuits that have survived with a federal judge. But I want to walk you through the lawsuit. I filed 2 lawsuits, one showing that they violated the First Amendment when I exposed this, which has survived dismissal. We've gotten several victories in that. And the other lawsuit where we've shown the denial of one person, one vote. But you're going to realize this is very personal to me, and it should be personal to all of you. So I'm going to read something that I wrote in the affidavit to my second lawsuit. And I think it'll give you the gravitas of what's actually going on. So let me go over to it. And if you go to vashiva.com/one person, one vote, you can see it. And so, by the way, you guys can contribute $1 if you want to support this lawsuit. I'm doing this lawsuit by myself because we could not trust any lawyers, and we've gotten multiple victories. So let me read this to you. So this is a second lawsuit. It says, and this was my affidavit that I filed. And just to make it clear to everyone, we have 2 lawsuits in federal court in Massachusetts, federal court. Both of them have survived dismissal. Both of them, I'm representing myself, no lawyers, and we've gotten multiple victories in them. And not one major news media has picked this up because both left and right do not want to go to the real crime scene. So let me read this to you so you understand the real gravity of what's going on in this country. And everyone needs to really wake up. So let me go over to this. So this is what it says. I'm going to read you 2 parts. This was the summary. It says, so remember the defendant here is William Galvin, who's the Secretary of State in Massachusetts. And this is what it says. Defendant William F. Galvin employed the use of computer algorithms in the 2020 Massachusetts Republican primary U.S. Senate race to debase, which means lower, the weight of votes by the voters of Massachusetts for the plaintiff, which is me, and denied voters their choice of representative to the U.S. Senate. Defendant Galvin's actions violated the constitutional principle of one person, one vote. On September 1st, 2020, I recognized that I had been defrauded of my election victory. I soon came to discover that the computer algorithms existed in electronic voting systems to manipulate election results. Having learned this on September 9th, 2020, I sought specific information that by federal law I was entitled to: ballot images, cast vote records, CVR log files, and list of vote records from the Secretary of State office. This information would have made it easy to verify if such computer algorithms were used. Defendant Galvin made it impossible for me to obtain this data. I shared the difficulties of my efforts on Twitter, specifically the fact defendant Galvin had destroyed ballot images in violation of federal law. Defendant Galvin responded by obstructing justice and engaging in racketeering to further sabotage my election prospects by inducing Twitter to ban me for 21 days out of the 35 days prior to the general election, using the false pretext that he cared about election misinformation. While running my general election write-in campaign, I was forced to issue public records requests, deploy my own software technologies to collect and organize data from the ground up to investigate the use of computer algorithms. This effort took nearly 2 months longer than if defendant Galvin had produced the data, which would easily have fit in one external hard drive at a cost of $500, which I was willing to pay. My independent investigation revealed more votes than voters and discovered a statistical improbability of 1 in 100,000 voting pattern based on Suffolk County data. The only explanation for this observation is the use of an algorithm that is enabled in many electronic voting systems called the weighted race feature. Our mathematical analysis revealed that my voters and I were reduced to 2/3 of a person. Defendant Galvin deliberately destroyed data to conceal the use of a computer algorithm. No person interested in election integrity would have done so. Defendant Galvin's actions have now forced me to seek redress by requesting a hand count of paper ballots in all counties. No election result that reduces citizens to 2/3 persons must be allowed by any court to stand. This court has a duty to order the decertification of the 2020 U.S. Senate election results based on the discovery that my voters were reduced to 2/3 of a person. This automatically entails the court must immediately order a hand recount of all paper ballots. The court must not allow a representative who is not the choice of the voters to proceed to the U.S. Senate. Okay, so that was a summary of what I submitted to the court. Okay, so that was a summary. Then also to the judge, by the way, both my lawsuits have not been dismissed. They've survived dismissal, and we've gotten multiple victories. So let me go now read this central issue of one person, one vote, and the use of computer algorithms. This is a real crime scene. It's not like black people and brown people are being suppressed against white people. You see, that's what's happening right now. They want black and white people fighting. Republicans are the white guys and Democrats are the black guys, right? So they want us fighting. The real issue is all of us are being screwed over. So let me read the second part of the affidavit, which will, again, enlighten all of you to the fundamental issue that we all need to really wake up to. All right, so let me go to that. All right. Let me go back to this, okay? All right, so if everyone can see this, here we are back here. And hopefully everyone here on Twitter can see this. I mean, on Instagram. So one person, one vote. Again, this is my affidavit. It says the bedrock principle of American suffrage, which means the right to vote, one person, one vote, is being destroyed by 21st century electronic voting systems. Opaque, which means we can't know what the hell's going on in them, and centralized and consolidated in the hands of a few. Software, quote unquote, features in electronic voting systems enable the multiplication of an individual's single vote by decimal factors, weights, either less than 1 or greater than 1. This feature can be used to decrease or increase the count of that one vote, so one person is not one vote. It is a crime that such features even exist, and secretaries of state and state election directors, black and white, by the way, Republican, Democrat, not only certify electronic voting systems containing such features, but also actively turn off other features in order to conceal the crimes by destroying, not storing ballot images, the evidence that links tabulated vote counts with the ballots cast, thus making it impossible to verify election results from those systems. In this affidavit, I will present scientific evidence that such features are employed by defendant Galvin in the September 1, 2020 Massachusetts Republican primary U.S. Senate race to steal victory from the working people of Massachusetts who wanted me, one of their own, to be their Republican candidate in the general election. My team of volunteers and I have worked painstakingly over the past 90 days since September 1st at great sacrifice to our careers and our families, along with many sleepless nights to educate ourselves on how these complex voting systems operate, to file public records requests in order to ascertain evidentiary documents while overcoming bullying and abuse by state and city officials in the acquisition of those documents, and to perform the mathematical analysis to interconnect such evidence to discover that these algorithms not only were used to defile our U.S. Senate Republican primary election in Massachusetts, but also are used to manipulate elections across the United States of America. Our findings show similar patterns of manipulation in Arizona, Georgia, and Michigan. However, the evidence in Massachusetts, specifically from Suffolk County, has enabled a calculation of the weights used to manipulate vote counts in the Massachusetts U.S. Senate Republican primary. I find it ironic and somewhat embarrassing that as a scientist, technologist, the inventor of email, who earned 4 degrees from MIT and has dedicated nearly 50 years of my life to the advancement of technology, that I must now make a rather Luddite request to this court for a hand count of the paper ballots cast. Moreover, it is my unfortunate conclusion that until these criminal software features are prohibited from all electronic voting systems, paper ballots should be used and hand counted in a transparent manner. An order from this court is now necessary to enforce the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on the application of the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution, authored by Chief Justice Earl Warren in Reynolds versus Sims, U.S. 533, 1964, which served to clarify the constitutionally protected right, one person, one vote. Only such an order will clarify this right in the 21st century of electronic voting machines. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is that we have the same problem as we had in 1964. Because of these electronic voting systems, we need to go back to the real crime scene, that computer algorithms can deny us one person, one vote. And in this affidavit, the other central point I wanted to share with you is this part here, okay? It says, this is personal. My name is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. I'm the son of Meenakshi and Ayyadurai, the grandson of Chinnathai and Velayappa, poor village farmers, and the great-grandson of Ganapati, an indentured servant. The principle of one person, one vote is deeply personal to my family and me. It is perhaps a singular reason why my parents on December 2nd, 1970, on my 7th birthday, left the oppressive caste system of India, a system in which one's birth determined one's fate, and one in which low caste untouchables such as us were considered less than human. Therefore, when I read the 3/5 Compromise of 1787, the Dred Scott case, the passage of the 14th Amendment in 1868, and Chief Justice Earl Warren's ruling to clarify one person, one vote in AP American History class, it was more than just a reading assignment. Those events defined America, the struggle of millions who fought and died to push forward American suffrage against incredibly reactionary forces of their time. The 3/5 Compromise had deemed a slave was 3/5 of a human being. The unfortunate Dred Scott ruling reinforced a deplorable 3/5 Compromise that institutionalized an American caste system where one human being was mathematically a fraction of another. In March 1857, the Supreme Court had issued a 7-2 decision against Dred Scott, an enslaved black man, ruling that black people, quote, are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to the citizen of the United States. Now remember, this is where we're at today. These electronic voting machines have made everyone, quote unquote, black people, okay? And you're going to see that we're all slaves right now. We are not guaranteed one person, one vote. So let me continue this. I hope this is waking you guys up, okay? Because Trump is not fighting for us, okay? And he didn't. That's why I realized what he was about. He was about making moolah for him and the RNC. He had opportunity, and he didn't fight for one person, one vote. He fought for himself and his family, period. And that's all fine. But you know what? That's not why he was there. So it was not until the 14th Amendment, 1868, that Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the 3/5 Compromise was superseded, and the compromise was explicitly repealed, providing a path to the clarification of one person, one vote. The historic U.S. Supreme Court ruling on the application of the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution, authored by Chief Justice Earl Warren in Reynolds versus Sims, did just that. It clarified one person, one vote. Quote, in India, you would have been discriminated 9 different ways, but in America, only 3. However, if you work hard, 3 times harder, you can achieve everything, was my mother's rationale and why we came to America. That rationale reflected the fact that though the realization of the American dream was imperfect, the Constitution provided a flexible framework to support the movement forward for the perfection of the American dream. My family's emigration from India precisely was because my parents wished their children to be raised in a country with the rule of law and the principle of transparent elections that upheld the cherished principle of one person, one vote. A country where they knew local political bosses could not and would not steal votes or subvert elections. That is the vision of this country that I too held until September 1st, 2020. And that is a country this court has an opportunity to return Massachusetts to and to send a signal for all Americans that there should never be a compromise to one person, one vote. Perhaps my spiritual traditions informs me that my role at this point in history is not mere coincidence. As a low caste untouchable from India, who experienced and observed the deep inequities of the caste system, was fortunate enough to receive an incredible training across multiple fields of engineering and science, be a software developer for nearly 50 years, and then one who became a U.S. Senate candidate subjected to election fraud, I see it as my duty to expose what I believe is a singular issue that threatens our democracy in modern times: the weighted race feature in electronic voting systems, which enables a caste system and a return to the more ubiquitous Dred Scott, where regardless of race, whether you're black, white, brown, everyone can be made 3/5 of a person. My analysis reveals that my voters and I were made to be 2/3 of a person by a weighted race computer algorithm. This is deplorable and must be condemned by this court. Massachusetts, a cradle of the American Revolution, is where patriots rose up against a system of caste, royalty, and oppression starting in 1774. This affidavit presents this federal court in Massachusetts with a new and historic opportunity: the opportunity to issue an order to stop America's degeneration into another caste system. All right? So that's what I filed in federal court. And everyone needs to understand that's not where Trump came from. And that's not where the Democrats are coming from. So because of our lawsuit, and they know our lawsuit exists, they know it has survived dismissal, so the Democrats and Republicans are starting a fake fight in Georgia. So they will rip off Democrats and they'll rip off Republicans. And I'm telling you, you better not take sides on this because you're all going to get screwed. All right? This is not about Republicans or Democrats. All right? So, yes, you're absolutely right. Justin nailed it. Where's Justin here? Trump jacked us all off. And he didn't fight. He misled. You nailed it. Okay. So now let's go down to the details. So that was what I filed. And now we're going to talk about what occurred in Massachusetts. Okay. So let me go back to this PowerPoint. So we're going to, again, educate. Our goal is to, you get educated or you're going to be enslaved following fools. All right. One person, one vote. That's the eye on the prize. Everyone get it? The real crime scene is not the voter IDs and the mail-in ballot. That's what the Republicans, blah, 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 all day, and that they do. And then the election integrity guys on the Democrat side, voter suppression. You know, the blacks are being screwed. And then the other guys talk about the whites, and they want blacks and whites all to be fighting all day, okay? And if you're stupid enough, you're going to follow that. Not after this. The real crime scene is one person, one vote. All right, so let's go to that. What do I mean by that? Let me look at my U.S. Senate run. We had an amazing campaign, 3,000 volunteers. We had signs everywhere. 3,000, volunteers, 10,000 lawn signs, 3,000 bumper stickers, standouts everywhere, 500 standouts. And our campaign was it was working people coming bottoms up. We had people coming from across the country. We raised close to $2 million, bottoms up. And the Republican scumbag GOP were so afraid of me and our people, they ran an idiot against us. So I would not win the Republican primary so they could have their Democrat boys win. You see, they both work together. And if you believe in this WWF wrestling, you're a child, you're an adolescent. Don't do it anymore unless you want to be an adolescent. So this was our campaign all over Massachusetts. Billboards, 15, 20 billboards, standouts like these everywhere. Then what did we see? On election night, look, I win in Franklin County. And everywhere else, it was 60-40, 60-40, 60-40. Well, what was the difference between Franklin County? Hand counted, paper ballots. I win there by 10 points. And every other town, this fool, by the way, his website address was cock, literally, a white, pasty-faced white guy from Greenwich Village, Greenwich, Connecticut, who was nowhere to be found. He wins in a black, community, 60-40. He wins in a Hispanic community. I'm sorry, this guy was nowhere to be found. Ask anyone in Massachusetts. Dr. Shiva's name was everywhere. No one knew this guy. There's no way this guy won. 60-40, 60-40, 60-40, 60-40. And what did we find out? Well, in all of those counties, they were predominantly electronic voting machines. But in Franklin County, 80 to 90% hand counted. So we win in paper ballots, but we lose everywhere else 60-40. All right? Those are the facts. So that's when I realized that we live in a third world country in Massachusetts. My concession speech on September 1st night was, we live in third world Massachusetts. I said, I'm glad we have the Second Amendment in this country. That's when I realized why the founders really put that in. And that started my journey to realize that we, in fact, had election integrity issues in this country. So I had to put on my MIT hat on, my science hat on, and no one funded us for this, guys. No one. Trump freaking made $300 million. I'm so pissed off at that guy. I don't even want to start cursing at him, okay? But we weren't paid a cent, were we, Michelle?
No, we weren't.
Not one penny. Myself, Phil Evans, Doug Applegate, lots of people who weren't paid, busted our balls, okay? Doing every night research to show what the hell was going on. We did the mathematics. We filed our lawsuits. No help from anyone, except from you guys, okay? People. So what did we find out? Well, here's what all of you need to learn. Here's a system. And by the way, I expect all of you guys to take the Truth, Freedom, and Warrior course, not for me. If you're really serious, you should go right now, vashiva.com, sign up as a warrior. It's like you're getting I don't even want to know the priceless education I'm giving all because I want to educate you. And if you don't understand a systems approach, you're always going to be screwed over. And shame on you, okay? Because I can only do so much. Here's a bottom line. Here's a system. A system as an input, a system as an output. Very simple. Basic systems theory. Here's our electronic voting systems. P number of people come to vote. Okay, it's called the participating voters list. And guess what? V number of votes are cast. Now, simple logic says P should equal V. Is that right? Let me ask everyone. Let's see over here. Should P not equal V? 1,000 people came to vote. How many ballots should be cast? Everyone? 1,000, right? How many ballots? How many ballots, guys? How many ballots? If 1,000 people came to vote, how many ballots should we have? P should equal V. Should it not? Very simple. P should equal V, right? You would think, right? Shouldn't every American want to understand, does P not equal V in every town? Well, P won't equal V under one condition. Watch this. So this is what you expect. But guess what? We started sending out FOIA requests. And we had to do that on our own. Call up these election idiots, call them up over and over again, send it. No lawyers. This was our volunteers who did it, not fucking Giuliani, not fucking Sidney Powell, not these goddamn lawyers who got paid a ton of money. Mm-hmm. Trump didn't do it. We did it. And what did we find out? Let's look at the data, okay? This is what you find out. Here's a sample of towns. Look at this. These were the number of people who actually voted, okay? Actually voted in these towns. And what do you find here? These were the actual ballots cast. Well, P should equal V, shouldn't it? Well, damn it, it doesn't. There's more ballots than, there's more votes than the number of voters. Now you tell me this is so freaking simple. Where's freaking Tucker Carlson, that little snotty nose, little whatever the hell he is, making his grimace? He's an entertainer. No coverage of this. Not one coverage, okay? So the number of the number of votes do not match the number of people voted, okay? They don't match. And remember, you pay your taxes, I pay a ton of taxes, okay? I don't get stimulus checks, do I?
No.
And I probably work 3 days out of 5 days for everyone else. I pay property tax. I think I pay excise tax. I pay corporate tax. I pay all sides. So not like scumbag Trump who cheated everyone on taxes. I think he paid $750. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm so pissed off with him. I gave him money. I supported him. And so did you. Now look at this number. It's freaking simple, okay? We all got screwed, all right? It doesn't match. So I had to file a lawsuit. P should equal V. And remember, these election officials, this is like easy math. I got 100 people came, I better have 100 ballots, okay? If I file a tax return where the assets don't equal the liabilities, I got the freaking IRS on me. And all of you better, yes, it's a fucking joke. You're right. It is a fucking joke. And anyone who doesn't get pissed off with this, something's wrong.
One question over here is, and what does the everyday person do about it?
Well, everyday person, number one, should go get educated on what we're talking about. Number two, we have a plan on the ground, which I'm going to talk to. Because you know what? I don't do shit unless I have a plan. I'm not here to theoretically whine, because that's not how I got here. You don't whine and become a low caste untouchable and get 4 degrees at MIT. You freaking fight. And if you guys are ready to fight, I'm going to teach you how. But if you're not ready to fight, just go home and sleep somewhere right now, whine, and be a Republican or Democrat. But look at these numbers. They do not match. No, Trump wasn't misled. He misled you. Okay? Don't give him any more things. Don't give him any more excuses. The motherfucker screwed us all over. Okay? That's what he did. All right. So P does not equal V. All right. So how is this possible? More votes than voters. How is that freaking possible, guys? You tell me how this is possible. Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. Because P doesn't equal V. How is this possible? How is that possible? P does not equal V. Right. These are facts. And I'm going to teach all of you to get the freaking facts. And if you're ready, all of you with a simple email can do this in your own town. But I don't want any more whining. I want Americans to start behaving like Americans, not like a bunch of fat, dumb, and lazy people who don't understand what it means to work hard. Because that's what this country is built on. And you guys have allowed this country to head to fascism. And you guys can make the difference. And you got to become truth, freedom, and health warriors. You have to get trained because you don't have the goddamn training. And I'm going to train you if you want to be trained. So let's go to these electronic voting machines. Well, P doesn't equal V. Why? Because there's a goddamn weighted race feature where the number of people can be multiplied by a weight, W. You see, P equals V is equal P times W. Mm-hmm. So W is 1, simple math, then V will equal P. You guys following this? Simple math. And if you don't know math, please go study second-rate math because I need you guys to keep up with me. V will equal P if W is 1. One person, one vote. But guess what? Guess what? Okay? Guess what? This is what we see. If W is greater than 1, or if W is less than 1 or greater than 0, then P will not equal V. And is that possible? So you got to find out, is that possible? How the fuck is that possible that P will not equal V?
That's right.
And by the way, the term fuck is a technical term because it shows that things are really fucked up. And those of you who have problems with that word, then please leave and, put your ears in and hide. But that is a word that's needed. That's the real word. It's a perfect word that defines it because, there have been people like Bev Harris and Benny Smith who've been talking about this, but no one listens to them. It took a guy with 4 degrees at MIT who's got the credentials to finally people to start listening. And a guy who got screwed over as a U.S. Senate candidate, and all the working people in this country who supported our campaign. All of you got screwed over. Because what did we find out? Well, let's look at it, okay? This is what you find out. Here is a voting manual of the Diebold Election Systems Manual from November 2002. Why is this important? The Diebold voting manual is a grandmother of all the voting systems. You see, that was owned by a company called ES&S, and they got bought. It's not Dominion. It's not ES&S. It's the state election directors that have been certifying these voting machines. And look at this. This is black and white, okay? Here you go. This is in the Diebold Election Systems Manual. Let's go to page 2-126. And you know what? Fucking Trump didn't read this goddamn manual. I sent it to him. I sent it to the Department of Justice. Not Eric Trump knows about this. Don't they read shit? No, they're busy making fucking money from their goddamn golf courses, from their wine. While you and I get screwed over. 600 goddamn billionaires double their wealth while Amazon and Walmart and all those countries increase their wealth. Meanwhile, mom and pop businesses were shut down by Trump. Okay? So stop giving him any more excuses. He's not, I bet you he doesn't even know how to freaking play chess. Okay? He's not the ninth dimensional chess player. He's not that brilliant. He's a fucking con man who moves money around. No different than Biden. No different than Bernie Sanders. All of them. AOC, all of them. Okay? Stop getting involved in WWF wrestling. Okay? It demeans you. It's insulting to you. All right. So look at this. Here is a Debo voting manual. Page 2-126. What do we find? There's a feature called the weighted race feature. It's a feature, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what does it say? Weighted races are tallied by weights, assigned from the voter registration and may be counted in the central vote centers only. Tallied by weights. They got a goddamn feature in there. They can multiply your vote by a weight. Now, why was this put in? Well, this feature was put in for housing associations. So let's say all of us were in a condo. Let's say Michelle owned a condo. She owned 2,000 square feet and the rest of us owned 1,000. And we were voting on some maintenance issue. Well, she got 2 votes and I got 1 vote. Okay, that was fine. But why is that feature left in there for federal election software? Who did that? Not the Chinese. Stop blaming the Chinese. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner made money off the Chinese. Okay, so did Trump. This was done by Republicans and Democrats, state election directors who certified these voting machines so they could have the weighted race feature. This is a real crime scene. There's a feature in the machines that can multiply your vote by a weight. So if your 1 vote can become 1.2, Michelle's can become 0.6. You get it? I hope you guys get it. It's time everyone gets this. And it's time you guys go educate everyone else because I can't do this on my own. All right? So this is page 2-126. Go look it up. Weighted races are tallied by weights. What the hell's going on in this country? Do you guys care about this? This is a feature, and all of them have it, as you'll find out. All right? And by the way, not 1 freaking penny did we get for doing this. Trump earned $300 million, him and the RNC, talking about bogus election fraud. Ask Michelle. I probably lost close to 600, 700,000. My businesses have been put on hold fighting for you guys. And it's time that you guys fight for you.
That's right.
It's fucking bullshit. Okay? So here you go. Here's where we win, all hand counted, and everywhere else at 60-40. So we filed our first lawsuit. And you know what? I couldn't find a goddamn lawyer here to file it. They're all pussies. They don't want to take on the swamp. I had to do it on my own. File the lawsuits, pay for the things, write all this stuff. And I had to go against 3 freaking lawyers myself in a 4-hour hearing. I had to represent myself. I've never done that in federal court. Yeah. I didn't see goddamn Trump there. I didn't see Rudy Giuliani there. They were filing lawsuits, all of them losing. And if you looked at their lawsuits, spelling mistakes galore. Morons. Freaking morons. Rudy Giuliani was paid $100,000 a week. And if you gave money to Trump, and if you gave money to the Trump campaign, you better damn well ask for it back. Because they made money off the American working people. All right? So here's our lawsuit. Lawsuit, you can look it up. 1180, the First Amendment lawsuit. And this was about the fact that I was suspended after the government contacted Twitter. So what happened? After I found out on September 9th that they do this, I said, give me the ballot images. Because you know what? When a ballot is put into an electronic voting machine, it creates a photograph. That's called a ballot image. All right, write this down. You got to write this down because you're learning from Professor Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, okay? What did I learn? When they take that ballot and they put it through the electronic voting machines, it makes a picture. And the machines look for the dot and they count it, not a human being. That's called a ballot image. And the electronic voting machines, by law, are supposed to preserve those ballot images for federal election for 22 months. Now, remember, I was tweeting away about election integrity all over. Twitter never threw me off. But on September 24th and 25th, the state election director, a woman called Michelle Tassinari, writes back to me and she's admitting, oh, yeah, we delete the ballot images. We don't have to freaking save them. I said, you violated federal law. In a series of 4 emails, I put them up on Twitter. And racist Jack Dorsey, that motherfucker, that's what he is. He goes to India, says he wants to help the poor black untouchables like me, goes to, Black Lives Matter, but he throws off a black-skinned Indian guy. He didn't throw it off, but he cowers to the Secretary of State. They call him, when I shared those 4 emails, that bastard bends over, and he does the bidding of the government of Massachusetts. That's what happened in Massachusetts. The government of Massachusetts, when I shared those 4 emails, and here they are, okay? Here's what you say. You know what? If people have a problem with my cursing, please get the hell off, okay? If this is what you can say, something's wrong with you. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, critiquing my cursing? Get over yourself. Freaking idiots. Okay, so here is the actual email that I tweeted out. Email response. It says, this is the email that is exposing the fact that the government of Massachusetts is deleting ballot images. The woman is writing to me, the state election director. I'm writing to acknowledge receipt of your request for records. And then she goes on. She say, please note that the approval of digital scan equipment in Massachusetts specifically prohibits the capturing of ballot images. Total lie. So she's saying they don't capture it. Then I write back, I said, kindly refer me to the statute. This was my second tweet. Third, she says, attached, please find the certification of 2 different digital scan equipment. Please note that while the ballot images are not stored, it's a lie. That means they deleted them. The actual ballots are. So this is complete gibberish. They're storing the paper ballots, but they do not store. No, they deleted them because on all electronic voting machines, the default setting is you must save the ballot images. Okay? They deleted the ballot images. Okay? Ballot images were deleted. So my next tweet, as you can see right here, I say, Legal Counsel Massachusetts further confirms Charlie Baker destroyed 1 million ballot images used to count votes. Right after I did that, the Secretary of State's office contacted Twitter, not Twitter, the government. Let me remind you, the government of Massachusetts contacted Twitter and had a federal candidate thrown off. So stop talking about big tech, big tech, big tech. No, the idiot with his long beard and a shaved head, whatever the hell he's doing, Jack Dorsey, is a fool, okay? He's a little puppy dog. He did what he was told by the government. He has no balls, no spine, nothing, okay? He did what the government told him to do, and he knocked off a black-skinned Indian, low-caste, untouchable, who he claims, and a couple of years ago, he'd gone to India to say, oh, I stand for the untouchables of India. Guys like me. Hypocrite, okay? He listened to what the government said. So they threw me off Twitter. So we filed our lawsuit because I said they violated this federal law. And the law is USC 2070152, which clearly states that all records in connection with the federal election, a ballot image is a record, must be preserved. I went to Bill Barr's office. I went to the U.S. attorney. They did nothing, guys. Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Okay? This is a government of the United States, the fascist government of America. Here are all the lawsuits. All of them written by moi. And then we went to the actual court hearing. And you know what came out in the court hearing? We got testimony that they're admitting that they contacted Twitter. In fact, the government has a trusted Twitter partnership. We're not all equal. We have a caste system. Because my stuff was exposing the fact that they violated laws. So what do you see here? Look at this. Okay, the witness, which is the government, is saying, I think the goal was generated to ensure that misinformation, which means misinformation that I was exposing, that they deleted ballot images, wasn't being spread. And so whatever actions that we could take to make sure that the tweet, which were these tweets, okay, all my tweets, that's what they're admitting, was labeled as inaccurate or taken down. We were willing to pursue whatever actions, whatever, fascism. And then after they took it down, the judge asked her, were you happy? She goes, yes, I was relieved. And then look what we learned. And no one has learned this except our lawsuit. Our lawsuit brought up the fact that the government has a bat phone line to Twitter. You and I don't have that. That's the serious violation of the First Amendment. We brought that out. And that came out in testimony. This is what they said. And so I asked her that the elections division is a Twitter partner. Is that correct? Yes, yes. And what they're saying is that we are certain to select certain reason for reporting a tweet that may not be available to everyone. And they will, which means Twitter, that the people who review the tweets of Twitter when complaints are made will try to act quickly as the ones we report, which means they have a hotline to Twitter. So the government and corporations are one. That's called fascism, guys. It's not communism. It's not socialism. That's fascism. That's what we have in the United States right now. We have fascism. The government contacted Twitter to shut down a U.S. Senate federal candidate because I was exposing them. And they violated everyone's right, all the working people. So that was that lawsuit. Well, guess what? The judge listened to us. We showed him that they used their Twitter account. And they also contacted the National Association of State Election Directors, which is funded by the Rockefellers and the Fox News people, okay? And look what comes out here. Do you know that the 4 tweets that I shared with you, I asked them in cross-exam, and I interacting about the ballot images removed, is that right? Yes. So what did we find out? The Secretary of State of Massachusetts and the state election directors worked to conceal ballot image destruction. They have a Twitter partnership. They admitted to taking Dr. Shiva's tweets down using whatever it took. They did not want the public to know that ballot images are more important than paper ballots, and they violated federal law. And guess what the judge did? He gave me a victory. The judge gave us a victory. He slapped the shit out of them. And he said, you better not stop. You better stop calling Twitter to both of them. And if you have a problem with Dr. Shiva, you guys go on Twitter and you argued out. That was a huge victory. Mm-hmm. Where was Trump? He didn't retweet that, did he, Michelle?
No.
Where was Tucker Carlson? Where were all these clowns? Nowhere. We just got a major victory. That was a restraining order terms. All right, that's victory number. First of all, judges don't like to have the hearing. They gave us a hearing, victory 1. Then he gave us a restraining order terms. Number 2 victory. And the most recent victory we got was, it is hereby ordered that the plaintiff shall report whether he requests leave to amend a complaint adding Twitter. Now, he also wants us to add Twitter. That's huge. So that's in Massachusetts, okay? We expose the real heart of the issue. They're deleting ballot images to cover the use of computer algorithms. That's lawsuit number 1. 3 victories in that lawsuit, though, so far. No one has covered it, except we have to do it directly. So you guys have to cover it. You guys better share this stuff everywhere. Okay? It's up to you. Yes. Yes. Where is Paula said this? Okay. So now let's go. Let's finish up here. Okay. Now let's go to lawsuit number 2. So not only did I file one lawsuit, which has survived dismissal and gotten 3 victories, I filed another lawsuit where I did the mathematical analysis. I mean, you have no idea how many sleepless nights we did.
So many.
Okay. Not me,
Hours,
many people. No funding. Trump has a shitload of money. Mm-hmm. his boy, Don Jr., goes and kills freaking poor tigers and lions. I didn't see him come and help me. Bunch of rich boys, okay? They didn't help us. So we did this. Second lawsuit. One person, one vote. Given no ballot images, how could I detect the use of a computer algorithm? Well, this is again, education. This is why all of you better get systems training or you're going to remain in the dark. And I'm offering that to you. So I hope you take advantage of it, okay? And give us, if you got a lot of money, you better give it to us to support this movement because we're doing it on our own. Now I'm going to ask you for money because we're building our own infrastructure. I want to thank all of you who contributed recently. We just bought about $50,000 worth of hardware from all of your hard-earned money. And we're building our own infrastructure. Trump doesn't have any idea how to run an infrastructure. He's doing it to make more money. He's not doing it to build a movement, okay? So here you go. Well, let me tell. So now our second lawsuit, input, output. Every system has a state, okay? A normal state or an abnormal state. Well,
Someone's asking where do they send money?
You can go to VA. So anyway, if you want to go send money, let me take a break because I'm going to ask for money now. I'm not going to be shy anymore, okay? So if you want to send us money, let me take a quick break. Go to vashiva.com/join right here. Go to VA. And by the way, when you send me money, the kind of person I am, I can't take your money unless I give you something, okay? I don't want your money if I can't give you something. So when you go to vashiva.com/join, right here, you can contribute right here. And if you contribute 100 or more, which is like nothing these days, $100 today is $20. Yeah. You get all of this knowledge. You get the book. You get access to the courses. You get access to a whole bunch of stuff. If you give 25 or more, you get access to System and Revolution and a tool. And if you don't want to give anything, that's fine. Okay. You still get access to the tools. So go to vashiva.com/join. And if you gave Trump money, ask for your money back and give it to us. Seriously.
Yeah.
He doesn't need your money. He's a freaking billionaire. Okay. Supposedly. All right. All right. So what I'm teaching you now is if you have a system can have a normal state or an abnormal state. So think of the cardiovascular system. They take your pulses, right? This is a normal EKG symbol. And that's what it looks like. By the way, right now you're learning pattern analysis. Again, I'm going to give you 30 years of knowledge in freaking 3 minutes. Okay. I don't really want to apologize. I'm just so fed up with what's going on in this country. And I'm trying to inspire all of you to get off your butts, get angry. Just like Christ did, he took that whip and he whipped those idiots in the temple. There's a righteous anger. And I'm trying to give you a direction where you put that anger, not into mail-in ballots or supporting Trump or Bernie. I'm giving you the actual focus where we go after the real crime scene. All right, that's what this is about. So I'm going to teach you some pattern analysis. So how did I figure out what the hell was going on? Because I know systems. You have a normal system and an abnormal state, okay? Here's a cardiovascular system. If you go to your doctor, this is what a normal pattern looks like. This is pattern analysis. Okay, it's a normal state. That's how it's supposed to look like. Here's an abnormal signal. If you got a wave like this, something's wrong with your heart, guys. You got ventricular fibrillation going on, okay? Now, I've spent my whole life in pattern analysis. So here's a normal state, here abnormal state. When I was a kid, 14-year-old kid, I was looking at sleep patterns of babies. I could detect when a baby had a long sleep pattern. I was looking at deaf-blind people's communication so I could figure out how they communicated when I was an undergrad at MIT. For my master's work, I was sending signals through bridge decks, trying to figure out under certain conditions when a signal was wrong, that means that bridge was going to fall apart, okay? Or an aircraft wing, when that aircraft needed fixing just by sending a signal into it. Or what I do right now with Cytosolve, we can literally analyze combinations and we can say if it's going to cause inflammation. Or what I did with EchoMail, where we can look at an email and we can figure out whether it's a positive email or a negative email or people are angry. So I'm a pattern analysis expert. I've been doing this all my life. So these idiots, when they try to screw me and you, they came across a formidable enemy, which was me, because I know math, I know pattern analysis. So I took all that 50 years of knowledge and I started applying it to, if they had given us a ballot images, guys, I wouldn't have to do all this math. Because they didn't, I had to use mathematics now, all my MIT rocket science, since I've been studying since I was a kid, doing math, and I had to apply that to this. And what did I discover? Well, I applied my knowledge of patterns. You extract a feature, you do clustering, you do learning, okay? So what I do for a living, just like you do, face analysis. So what did I find? Well, guess what? This is why we found an amazing pattern in Suffolk County, which is one of the most corrupt counties. We see up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, in a pattern that cannot occur normally. It can only occur 1 out of 100,000, 1 out of 1,000,000 times. And this is being conservative. What did we find out? When you look at this pattern and you work out the high, low pattern, we did the simulations. Well, simply the high lows is 1 out of 621 events. But when you do the high, low, and the highs are 1.5 times, the odds are 1.5 times more than the evens, that chance is only 1 out of 100,000. And when we do the backward calculations, it turns out they multiplied my votes by 2/3. And by the way, I submitted this in testimony. There's a lot of mathematicians in Massachusetts. No one has rebutted my math. And in fact, they attempted to get this court case dismissed, and the judge denied their dismissal. So we reworked the entire election in Massachusetts. And what do you see? Well, they had, I was losing 57-31. When you rework it, I actually win 52-43.
That's right.
In Norfolk County, same thing. I win. Same here. Win. Bottom line is they stole votes from us, and we're being conservative here. Okay. And these were the lawsuits that I filed. And guess what? The Secretary of State lied, absolutely lied in government testimony. She said, oh, we don't save ballot images. No images are saved. Well, we had an election commissioner also file an affidavit, Benny Smith. All right, what do we find here? It's a feature of the voting systems, guys. Audit mark ballot images, auditing capability returns a secure digital image of every ballot cast. It's in their marketing literature. In fact, Eric Comer, the executive vice president, Dominion, says, regardless of whether it is hand marked or the QR ballot, the scanners first take a digital ballot image, both sides. And look what we find here in the GEMS notes. It says they have the weighted race feature. That's in 2002. And we see the same thing in 2019 voting manual. So the weighted race feature has existed in 2002. It exists in 2019, which means the ability to multiply votes. We don't have one person, one vote. This is a real issue. Okay? This is a real issue. And guess what? They attempted in my second lawsuit, they had all their lawyers, 2 sets of lawyers, Harvard-trained lawyers. They filed hundreds of pieces of paperwork to try to deny our motion, to get our motion to dismiss. Remember, all of Trump's lawsuits were dismissed. And he had lawyers, moolah. We weren't getting paid. Right. Guess what happened? Here's a federal judge. Here's the order. They attempted to dismiss my lawsuit. What does he say? Defendants, which is them, motion to dismiss is denied. There you go. All right. Another victory. Where the hell's little, preppy boy Tucker Carlson? Where is he? He's not covering this. Nowhere, okay? Nowhere. America is a third world country. America has become a banana republic, and that's what we need to wake up to. Stop talking about China. Stop talking about Africa. Stop talking about Chile. Let's put our mirrors to our own face. This country is going into total fascism, and you better get off your butt. You better start recognizing, stop looking at Republican and Democrat. They're not going to do shit for you. They're going to take your money. So here's the fake fight. So getting back to this Jim Crow. So this is what I see in the headline today, okay? Jim Crow in the 21st century. Biden denounces Georgia Republicans over new voting law, okay? So both fools, Republicans. So you have Trump's guys in Georgia who are saying, okay, we need voter IDs. The mail-in ballots suck, okay? So that's the Republicans saying, voter IDs and mail-in ballots. Okay, fine. All right, so you give voter IDs, you eliminate mail-in ballots. We've still got stuff coming in, which is going through voting machine where you can flip votes. What does that mean? That's the real crime scene. So Republicans are doing that, and you're going to get emails saying, give us money, we need to stop the mail-in ballots, we need voter IDs. That's been going on for 20, 30 years. All right, so let's look at this fake fight. This is the opportunity for everyone to learn. This is happening right now. So you have Jim Crow in the 21st century. So what does the left say? So the left says They said they filed a 98-page measure significantly curtails access to the ballots in the state. It imposes new ID requirements for mail-in voting, limits the availability of ballot drop boxes, gives voters, this is what the left is saying that they're doing in Georgia, and bars providing food or water to people standing in line to vote. The law also gives the state legislature currently controlled by Republicans the authority to appoint a majority. So they're saying, oh my God, the Republicans, want to stop mail-in ballots. They're not going to give us water. That's their beef, okay? And the left says, we are filing this lawsuit for one simple reason. SB 202 should be classified as a violation of voting rights. It's a violation of our dignity and our power. Dignity? What the hell are you talking about? And look at this very carefully. You see, this is where the race stuff gets involved. Georgia's black, brown, young and new voters are here to stay. We will organize, knock on doors, and show. You see, there you go. The left, black and brown issue. That means poor white people, nothing's happening to them, right? So left-right narrative, right? So the left do that. And this is what they want. They want us to be divided. And what does the right do? This is this Brian Kemp, who now Trump is praising, by the way, who before he was denouncing. The right says there is nothing Jim Crow about requiring photo or state-based issue IDs to vote absentee ballots. Every Georgia voter must also already do so in person. He said President Biden, the left, and the national media are determined to destroy the sanctity and the security of the ballot box. As Secretary of State, I consistently led the fight. You see what's happening here? You see they're creating a fake fight. We're for voter IDs, the Republicans want to suppress our vote. This has been going on for 20 years. Okay? This is a fake fight. None of them are talking about the computer algorithms. Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah.
And if you're foolish enough, and it gets more interesting. So then the right gets an article in The Hill. Kemp fires back at Biden. Nothing Jim Crow about Georgia law. And this is Brian Kemp saying. Governor Brian Kemp on Friday pushed back on President Biden's statement calling a new voting law Jim Crow in the 21st century, arguing it is obvious that neither the president nor his handlers have actually read the bill. Okay? And then this is what we actually have going on. Okay? Let's be clear. None of these two sides want to go at the real crime scene, which is what I just shared. The real crime scene is a fact that both of them have been certifying electronic voting machines so they can have selections, not elections. So you'll have Trump play his bullshit game and Biden will play his game. Biden is for the blacks, Trump's for the whites. Trump is fighting mail-in ballots. Biden's fighting voter suppression, Jim Crow. They're both Jim Crow guys. And you know who the new slaves are? Not just black, they're not just brown, they're not just white, they're all of us. We're all slaves. If you're a working class American today and you're making $55,000, you should be making $122,000. Over the last 40 years, the American pie has split. 95% of us get little crumbs over here, and the other 5% get a big apple pie. And that's happened because all of you have been sucked into this bullshit fight. And while this is what they do, okay, this fake fight, this bullshit, this picture says it all. WWE wrestling, okay? That's what they do. The real fight, what's the real fight? The real fight is one person, one vote. That's the real fight. And what I've just shared with you is if you take a systems approach, you will first of all realize that the number of voters better match the number of ballots cast. And if they don't, how could that happen? Which means either they don't know how to count, okay, incompetent idiots, or as I've shown you, that the electronic voting machines have a weighted race feature. Someone is multiplying the votes. It's the only way. It's mathematics. The math never lies. So what are we doing? Well, first of all, we've created a platform at Vashiva. And that platform has three parts. Education, like we're doing now. Building community, number 2. And third is for you to get active. So when you go to vashiva.com, I'm going to show you this. When you sign up, first of all, you get all this amazing education. Contribute. Your contribution, when you contribute, I want to educate you, okay? You want to just be a member, do that. So when you go to vashiva.com/warrior, vashiva.com/join, when you sign into that platform, and I'm going to show you, so this is action. Now I've given you the theory. So you've learned all the science. So what can you do? What can you do? We're not here to just talk and scream and me to curse. I actually want to materialize all this anger into actual action. So let's go to vashiva.com/join. Okay, so when you go here, if everyone can see this, there's a website here, which, by the way, we did. No one paid us for this except your amazing contributions. What does it say? Welcome to Vashiva, the revolutionary platform being developed by Dr. Shiva, the man who invented email. This platform provides foundational educational curricula and innovative tools to empower you to be a force to deliver real solutions that affect truth, freedom, and health. So you can listen to the video, which I just played. You can contribute. You can become a warrior. You contribute 100 more. I just don't want your money. You're going to get all of these tools, which are going to educate you on systems. If you're not ready for that, you can become a supporter, or you can just become a member at no cost. But when you do, you get to log in. And all of this is in our environment. We don't know anything to, Amazon, okay? It's in the infrastructure that I built over many, many years. We have our own data center. And when you log in, you get to go into a dashboard. Number one, you get a forum. Everyone gets access to this. So you learn all this knowledge. Now you can start interconnecting with people independent of big tech. Screw Twitter, screw Facebook. You can start a topic. You can start having conversations. Look at all of this that's going on. All right? This is what's going on right now in real time. People are talking about real issues, and they're not going to get thrown off like on Facebook. All right? People are here's our clean elections movement, and I'll talk about it. We have people all over the country getting ready to execute the plan I've come up with. So first of all, you have a forum. You can join that. All right? Then, for those of you who become Truth, Freedom, and Health Warriors, you can join our own equivalent of Facebook. You can start building community, right? You can enter here. And when you enter here, you can literally then get access to the social media portal. Here's, John's, for example. You can go into all the groups. Everyone is a member of the Warrior group, okay? So you go into the Warriors, and people are starting to build their own pages, as you can see here. We have members. People are building their own pages, independent of big tech, okay? And they are starting to create friends. And why are they doing this? Well, they're not just having fun out here. We're here to change the world, okay? What are we doing on here? Well, let me show you. I'm going to share the screen here so you guys can see all of this. Hopefully you're able to see all that. But what are we doing here, okay? So you can go to the social media site. You can log in, okay? Here's a dashboard. You can connect with people. There's also the forum. Let me go back. You can go to the dashboard. But most importantly, we have all of this education. So those people become warriors. They can get educated. You can get videos, but you have all of this education. You'll get tools to understand your body as a system. You'll get tools to understand In fact, let me do this so everyone gets this, because I want to make sure everyone's getting this. 1 second. I'm going to bring this up. Just take a quick break here. I want to bring this up for everyone. Okay. All right. So what do you get on the site, okay, when you go into it? This explains it a little bit better. We bring this up. It's easier for me to share this instead of going around the website here. So I'm going to share this right here. So when you go to the website, this is about taking action now, okay? So when you go to the website, you'll find that you get all these tools. You can go in and you can get access to, first of all, we want you to get educated. You'll understand, I want you to understand the science of systems. It took me 50 years to build this. I want you to get the book. I want you to get this. And those people who contribute can get that right away, whatever you want to give to 25 bucks. Then you get all these other tools, okay? These other tools are going to train you to become a warrior. That's a warrior education. And then you can also then build community, as I said. You get to go on the forum, start interacting with people, okay? Then I want you to connect with other people. We have our own equivalent of Facebook. Start building your page. Then you can get activated. We have cards there. Weaponry. So you can educate people on masks, what the real issue with masks is, okay? You can educate the 50% who are good people, but they're being bamboozled. The real issue with masks, how masks hurt the oral health. You can talk about vax and anti-vax, okay? And then you can actually explain to people, you can actually start explaining to people what they can do. So what can you do? What is the end goal here? What do we do? Well, I've created the one person, one vote initiative. Let me show this to you. I'm going to put it up right here. I want everyone, if you want to do this, to go to oneperson.onevote.info. Okay? Oneperson.onevote.info. Let me put this up here. One person, one vote.info. And what you're going to be able to do here, let me put this right up here. Let me put the ticker here. When you go to oneperson.onevote.info, let me share this. We've created a mini sitelet, as you can see right here. And on this sitelet, it's called Clean Elections. This is our initiative. And in this video, I'll explain to you what you can do on the ground. So it'll teach you what to do. Put your name and your email address and your mobile in. And then right here, when you submit, it'll actually tell you what you can do in your town. Okay, there's a little video. It's a tutorial. What you can do in your town is following things. Everyone can do this. Listen very carefully. All of you in your local town can issue a public records request. Everyone listening. This is the actual action that needs to be done. You can tell your town clerk for the 2020 election, I want 2 pieces of data. Remember the P and the V? You can say, I want the list of participating voters, which means who voted in the election in my town, and the ballots cast. And you can send it to us. And when you send it to us, we will do the analysis for you. Because P better equal V. And do that, go to onepersononevote.info or go to vashiva.com/warrior and join. All right. But that is what you can do on the ground. You can become a warrior to get us data. And if P doesn't equal V, guess what? I'll help you write a lawsuit so you can file it. Forget lawyers. We'll help you do the lawsuit. I'll help you do it. Because bottom line is, if P doesn't equal V, something's wrong. That means your town is a dirty town. So when you go to this website, onepersononevote.info, you can actually learn. In fact, I've written the email out. You can just find your town clerk's name, open up your email system, and to that town clerk, you send them this email right here. Okay? The email basically says, I want the participating voters list. I want the ballots cast. And they have to give it to you by law. If you don't want to do that, you can also download the PDF, which is right there. Okay? You can get the PDF sent to you. Either one. And we've made it easy for you. I've written it out. It's easy for you. You can do this. It's made it really easy. So you can go there, become a Truth, Freedom, and Health warrior, but that's the way we're going to win. I've given you the political theory. I've given you the analysis. The real fight is we do not have one person, one vote. We're all being Jim Crowed. Not only black, not only white, not only yellow, not only red, not only brown, all colors. We don't have democracy in this country as long as we have these electronic voting machines, which have that algorithm capability in there. That's it. That's what the real issue is. All right, I've said enough. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions over here? All right, I know I've hit you guys with a lot, but the bottom line is it's up to us. So the 2 action steps you can do is become a Truth, Freedom, and Health warrior. Every Monday evening, 7 to 9, I do a private group class. I train you. You get MIT level education in 3 hours. You need to understand the science of systems. Okay? Number 2, we need on this issue, this is the most important democratic issue. We have to go on the ground, us. Forget lawyers, forget celebrities, forget Biden, forget Trump, WWE wrestling. Do it if you want entertainment, okay? That's what we need to do. Well, you're welcome, okay? Let's go fight. Look, life, there's only one thing to do, is to fight, okay? We live, we fight, okay? Someone said, yeah, yes, thank you. You're absolutely right. Yes. By the way, Canada, you can do the same thing there. We can do this everywhere in the world, okay? Because these electronic voting machines are everywhere. All right, everyone. I expect to see a bunch of people in my class, okay? Someone said supplements for oral health. By the way, many of you know, we started to, I've used the same systems approach. It's all the machines. We need to get rid of every machine. The only future that we need is hand-counted paper ballots. And election day should be a national holiday. All of us should be participating at the local precinct, hand-counted paper ballots, counted on that day and posted. None of this electronic stuff. And you're hearing that from the guy who invented the first electronic mail system. This stuff is too dangerous. We got to go to hand-counted paper ballots. And you won't see Trump saying that. You won't see Biden saying that. You won't see the people in Georgia saying that, Republican or Democrat. It's the only way forward if we want democracy in this country. Otherwise, we're just slaves. We're just, back to Dred Scott. Okay? All right, everyone. Thank you. Tomorrow I'll be talking about Neem. And if you want me to talk about something, vashiva@vashiva.com. But we have a very clear path. I figured it out. I'm a problem solver. I invented email. I invented Cytosolve. These are all great inventions. But our platform for truth, freedom, and health, with all humility, will go down as my biggest innovation because it's meant for truth, freedom, and health. And it's meant for you. So take advantage of it. Don't be fat, dumb, and happy. That's not what America was built on. And maybe I appreciate that more than some of you because I know what this country has. And I know how it can be gone like that. And both Republicans and Democrats are both scumbags. To hell with Republicans and Democrats. It is up to us. Forget elections. They're all selections. We have to go at this real issue. Thank you. Be the light. Thank you.